Well, guys, we are almost to that finale, but before we get there, there is one last order of business to take care of, and that, of course, is the most crucial and last, most important eviction yet. Hey guys, it's Kevin on for this episode of Big Brother. It's not really this week because this was only an episode. As you guys know, there was an eviction last night, and this is the final eviction episode because, yes, you do have the final three, and technically there is one last eviction left, but technically, really, in actuality, this is like the last official eviction episode and things like that, you know, the regular eviction episode and everything. And I can't believe it. I can't believe that we're already almost to the finale, but I was looking forward to this episode for a couple of reasons. One, the power was switched a ton, and I really was looking forward to seeing what was going to happen there. Two, also because this is the last episode of the Florida finale, and I was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen. And I have to say, this episode really did not disappoint. I overall really enjoyed this episode overall. I thought there was some really great stuff going on here. There was, of course, some really stupid stuff as well. But I have to say that I really think if there's anything that this episode did, it really did show why Paul absolutely needs to win, to be the winner. He needs to be the winner of the season. I'm going to get into that, but let's talk about that win, because what an incredible win that was for Paul. I mean, really, I have been someone that has been praising Victor and someone who's been saying that, Victor deserves it all, or, oh, Victor's made amazing moves and Victor knows what he's doing. And I think I haven't really said a lot about Paul, and honestly, it's kind of a disservice to him, because he really is great at this kind of stuff. I mean, just seeing him win that HOH in general, crying, I mean, you gotta feel good, you gotta feel, like, happy for the guy, because there has been so many weeks where he hasn't been in power, he hasn't really gotten to make a lot of decisions, and the last time he was HOH, I believe, was basically Paulie's HOH, and for once he can make decisions on his own, and I really did like seeing Paul, become the HOH here. But obviously, this is a very difficult HOH to have as well, because at this point, there's a Final Four, and they're all very close, and I have to imagine that probably being in the Final Four and being the HOH, it must be the hardest one yet, because of the fact that you're evicting people that you actually do not want to get rid of, and that you wish could stay. But of course, he needs to make a move, and I think Paul did exactly the right thing here, where he links up with James. He decides that, James is someone that he can trust, and James is someone that is not going to hurt him, and James is also someone that you can keep around, because we are basically shown in this episode that someone that's actually dumber than Corey, like, I don't know how James did it, but he actually finds a way to be dumber than Corey, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but he links up with James. They solidify kind of like a final two deal, and obviously they want to get out Corey and Nicole, which was the best thing to do. I don't know why someone didn't think about this, so many, weeks ago, because if I was in that house, second I would become HOH, I would have put those two up right away. I mean, I don't know why they didn't think of doing this. It would have made so much sense to do that, because Nicole is simply not as strong without Corey. Now, maybe this season she's been a little bit lucky, but again, Corey has been by her side 24/7. So we really haven't gotten to see that side of Nicole that I actually have wanted to see this year, and that is the Nicole that isn't afraid to make some big moves, isn't afraid to call people out on their bullshits, and she hasn't done any of that this season. She's, latched on to Corey. She's had him make most of her decisions. She's basically been very much in, I think, the sidelines of things. I know I said that she's been the one in power. Really, I think she's been the one in the sidelines. She's come up with ideas for Corey, but Corey's the one that's been doing things, and it's just annoying that all of us now, finally, it's happening. I'm happy that now it's finally happening. I just wish this happened a lot sooner. But either way, Paul does put up Corey and Nicole, which I can totally understand. I'm happy that he did that, and I think now, more than ever, this is the time to put them up. Obviously, because if he doesn't put them up, they're going to win the game, and that's something that is brought up a lot in this episode, that, they're going to end up going to Final Two together. Nicole, if it was Corey and Paul in that two and she wins HOH and she had to pick one, she would absolutely pick Corey over Paul. Why, I don't know. She thinks that Corey's like the greatest human ever. I don't really know why she thinks this. There's really nothing special about the guy except that he's inherently stupid and that he is obsessed with Christmas and apparently baseball, But other than that, I thought that this really was the right time for him to do it, and I think Paul handled it very well. He obviously didn't want to get rid of any of them, but he realized they need to make a big move, and getting out James is just not really going to do anyone any good, because James is someone to beat. James is someone to take to that final two and just completely outsmart. I mean, James is that Victoria, or that, going all the way back to Big Brother 13 with Portia, or going all the way back to, going last year with Liz. That is the one to beat. And yes, James has kind of done stuff, but he really hasn't done shit, and we'll get into him in a second, but either way, I thought this was a long time coming. I thought definitely Paul did a great job here, and it's even better when we get to the veto. But before we get to that, let's talk about the jury house, because damn, I mean, was that not the craziest thing ever? I mean, when Julie said the craziest jury house ever, I'm like, oh yeah, totally, it's the craziest jury house ever. Because, they always hype things up, but that actually was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen in Big Brother in a while. I mean, I can't remember the last time they had to call in security, because let's just get right into it, though, because it really is crazy. Basically, Natalie ends up walking into the jury house, everything's fine, everything, but Natalie starts talking about Zakiya and how Zakiya is now latched onto Paulie, and they don't really understand it. And honestly, I get what they were trying to do. What they were trying to do is not make Zakiya look stupid. They're trying to say, why are you settling for someone like Paulie? Someone who clearly is just with you to have sex with you. Someone who's just there to manipulate you. Why do you feel you need to get close to him? And I don't know why Zakiya thinks this. Like I said, she has like a history of doing these things. But honestly, I thought that that was a valid complaint and a valid question as well. It's something I think we've all been wondering. Why someone like Zakiya, who's so drop-dead gorgeous and could get any guy that she wanted, why would she settle for someone like Paulie? It just doesn't really make any sense. And even in this moment where Zakiya, is with Paulie, Paulie just defends her, says you have no right to talk to her like that. And again, it just seems like Paulie's trying to be the masculine one and trying to not let her speak for herself. I mean, that just shows how much he doesn't really care about her, because he doesn't really let her speak for herself. And Da'Vonne just goes off on him, and I love this. I mean, I've talked about before that the jury house is made up of, a bunch of kids, but I think Da'Vonne really is that mom that keeps them all in line. You definitely do see that here. Da'Vonne kind of is like that mama bear looking out for her cubs, and I really love the way this was done. She gets really mad at Paulie, says that, at first calls him out on his height, and basically says all the things that we do, that nobody is afraid of him, and nobody's intimidated by him. He's kind of just a douchebag, and they're used to it, and then things get even crazier when he starts to mention her as a mother, and he starts to comment about her as a mother, and she just goes off on him, saying, how dare you say that about my daughter? Don't you dare get my daughter involved. I have never seen Da'Vonne this heated, but honestly, I don't blame her. When you get someone's family involved, that's crossing a line, especially when it's not for game-related instances. This is a completely different scenario, because Da'Vonne's, her being a mother, that has nothing to do with her defending Zakiya, honestly. I don't know why Paulie got that involved. I think Paulie, he just doesn't think before he speaks. I mean, I think he naturally just is a dick in general. Everything about him, he just seems like a dick, and it's weird because I don't think he started out this game that way. I think he just kind of got very power hungry, and I think he still thinks he's running the entire house, which he's clearly not running the jury house. Da'Vonne is clearly the one doing that. And it gets so crazy where they have to call security in there, and they have to separate them. I mean, she even calls out Zakiya on for bullshit. And honestly, kudos to Da'Vonne for doing that, because someone had to get it through Zakiya's thick skull. And Zakiya's not dumb. I'm going to say it right now, Zakiya's not dumb. I just don't really know why she sells for something like Paulie. She clearly knows that she's doing it. She clearly knows what Paulie is capable of, and she also clearly knows what Paulie is going to do to her. So why she continues to canoodle with Paulie just baffles me. I have no idea why. It's so bizarre. It's so weird, and I just don't really understand why she continues to latch on to him. But what a crazy fight. I thought that was incredible, and honestly, I really do have to give for Da'Vonne, because it really does show how protective she is when it comes to her family. I mean, your family is someone that you should be protective of, and I don't think Paulie ever should have gotten them involved. I don't know why he brought that up. It had nothing to do with what Da'Vonne was talking about. Paulie's just a dick. He really is, and, he just kind of uses you until he's done with you, and it's just simply not working anymore, and I really did love that. But then we get to Victor coming into the house, and things are relatively calm. Victor talks about who is left and how I think he said he wants, everyone seems to want Paul and James to win. Paul, obviously, I understand. Why James? James hasn't done jack shit. I don't know why they want James to win so badly. I think having James win is just like having Corey win. Those two at this point are kind of interchangeable, and I'm just, I don't really know why they want James. I'm hoping that they're smart and they do pick Corey. I'm kind of worried about this jury, though, I gotta say. I'm really worried about what they're gonna do. I feel like they're not gonna vote strategically. I feel like they're gonna vote personally. They're gonna vote for the person they like more, and that's just not what you do. And I am looking forward to obviously seeing Dr. Will school them, because that's always fun to watch. But I feel like this jury they're not really focused on strategic things. They're more focused on, who did more and who tried to put themselves out there. And yeah, there are things that matter, but I feel like they're focused on very small things that don't really matter, especially Michelle. Michelle's so obsessed with things that Nicole did to her weeks ago and not actually focused on, is she actually a good player? And is Nicole a good player? No, but I will say that she has played a better game than most this season, and I definitely will say, I haven't liked her game by any means, but her strategy has clearly been a strategy, and there's obviously a reason why she's there. She hasn't been a floater, she has won some things, so I can't really get pissed at her anymore. Obviously I don't like Nicole's game this season, but I can't really call her out because, again, she's gotten this far. There's a reason why she's gotten this far. She's actually kind of started to do things, and again, I'm not saying that she should win the game, but I'm saying that I think that they should focus more on Nicole's competition wins than they should on what Nicole said about Michelle. I think they really should focus more on that. But either way, that's the jury. Let's get into stuff I really do want to talk about, but I just want to talk about the jury because, like I said, that was intense. It was crazy. I didn't expect to be that insane. I knew there was obviously a fight between Paulie and Da'Vonne, but damn, was that crazy. It makes me worried about what's going to happen on finale night and what Paulie could potentially say, because it seems like anything that Paulie says about Da'Vonne's family just set her off, and I don't know what's going to happen, but that's going to be interesting to see. But now we get into the veto competition. Which, let's talk about the veto competition, because I overall really did like it. It's one that's obviously super competition heavy. It's one that's focused on, memory and remembering things that happened within comps and things like that. But this is the second time that James ends up missing a question that himself was involved in. And I didn't talk about this last night, but are you really going to tell me that you didn't know what your own quote-unquote girlfriend said to you? I don't understand why James didn't realize what Natalie said last week. I don't know why he said that. I don't know if he was just so entranced by her beauty, or if he was just distracted, or if he's just an idiot. And I honestly think that James is an idiot. I like James coming in this season, but damn is he dumb. I have never seen someone this dumb in a veto comp. He clearly is not even trying at this point. I don't even think that he was trying, and even if he was, he still barely got any right, and it was one of those things where, like I said, you had to, pick, you had to remember, what days certain things happened, and, how did James forget the day that he trashed the house? He was the one that did that. He was the one that participated in that hide and go veto. How do you not remember this bullshit? It's just common sense, really, and especially when it's something that you yourself was involved in. I have no idea how you can forget this. It's just so dumb and so just ridiculous that he even forgets this. I can't believe that out of everything, this is so hard for James. It doesn't make any sense, and he's like, oh, I wasn't prepared. You were involved in it. You were part of the hide and go veto. You were the one that trashed the damn house in the first place. So why are you so, why are you so forgetful about these things? It doesn't make sense. And I don't know if James has been just sleeping a lot or if he just doesn't care anymore, but I am convinced that James is just there to float to the end. That's why he's there. He doesn't really care about winning the money. He doesn't really care about winning the game. What he cares about is being America's favorite player. That's why he's been in the game all along, and it's just really annoying. I really cannot stand people like James. I liked him last season, but he didn't, he wasn't there to win America's favorite player last season. He won America's favorite player last season. Ever since then, he's been so confident about it, because he's like, oh, America's on my side and everything, so I don't really need to play. But that's not what makes you America's favorite player. What makes you America's favorite player is your likability, but also your comp wins, and underdog as well. People really do like to vote for the underdog, and I will say right off the bat, James is definitely not America's favorite player this season. I think a lot of people have gravitated away from James, and it's sad to see because I really did like the dude last season, and I think he really is capable of a lot better than this. But I think because of how distracted he was with Natalie, I think he just couldn't really do much after that. He just felt like he didn't have to do much, and I don't really know why he did this. I mean, it's the most important veto of the entire fucking season. How you miss out on this, I don't know, but either way, it's between Corey, Nicole, and Paul. Paul again ends up winning. I thought it was awesome to see, and I was so happy that Paul ended up winning that veto, and Corey and Nicole pretty much know at this point that they're kind of defeated and that one of them is definitely going. And let's get into the eviction, which, no surprise here, it is in fact Corey that gets evicted, and I'm proud that they did in fact evict Corey. I was worried when it was going to be James. I'm like, oh, James, please just make a decision here, because we know how James is on making decisions. You know, he doesn't usually want to make them, but I like that he did stick to the plan. He evicted Corey. I think Corey is someone that should be gone a long time ago. I don't know why he lasted this long, but either way, Corey's gone. Are you really going to tell me, though, that him and Nicole have a future? They weren't even a showmance. I don't know why Julie's like, you and Nicole were in a passionate romance. If a passionate romance is fucking and then not talking about it and then that's it, then okay, I guess that's a great romance, but that's not what they had. Clearly what they had was a fuckmance, and that's really all it was. I'm not even kidding. I mean, literally all they did was have sex and just, you know, be friendly with each other. That's really all they did, and it's just ridiculous. It really is. The fact that she called it a showmance, and the fact she said they have a future together, when we already see that Corey wants absolutely nothing to do with her except to just have fun with her and be friends. I mean, the first thing he says is that we will be friends for life, and I think that statement is honestly true, but Corey and Nicole are as bland as, I think, just, I don't really know. They're so bland, they're so boring, and there's been nothing interesting about them all season. But I'm just glad to see Corey evicted. It's been a long time, you know, this has been a long time coming. Again, I don't know why he's lasted this long. I would have gotten him out, like, in the last double eviction, but again, there wasn't a double eviction, so they couldn't really do much about that. But either way, glad to see Corey go, and I think definitely was a satisfying end to the whole Corey quote-unquote relationship, which really wasn't one. But that's it, guys. Now we are left with our final three of course, James, Paul, and Nicole, and here we go. Now we are on our way to the finale, and I don't really know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to say this now. I think Paul's going to win a, you know, majority of these competitions. I think it's going to be Paul. James isn't winning shit. He clearly does not know what the hell he's doing at this point. I don't know why James is, you know, throwing I don't know if he's just throwing them, or if he just doesn't want to participate, or if he's just so tired and defeated, or he misses his family. I don't know what it is with James, but he has just found a way to get so dumb and get so fucking bad at these competitions. I don't really know what it is. Nicole could win one, but I feel like Paul is going to win the majority of them, and I'm pretty sure the final two is going to be Paul and Nicole, and I really hope it's not Paul and James. I feel like if it's Paul and James, the jury will vote for James, and I really don't want that to happen. Natalie, I can understand why, but anyone else, I don't really know why you'd vote for James. Paul is definitely the one to vote for. I think Paul definitely needs to win, and that's really what I want to see. I want to see Paul win. I don't want this to be like last year where you vote the strongest player out, and then we're left with two, bozos who did absolutely nothing. You know, last season we had Vanessa and then Steve and Liz. Now, they did stuff, obviously. They did a lot more than Nicole and James did, but I'm just saying, I'd much rather, I think it'd be a lot more fun and interesting to see a Paul and Nicole final two rather than a Paul-James final two, and especially better than a James-Nicole final two. That'll be the most boring thing ever, but either way, guys, we are heading to the finale. I can't believe we're heading to the finale, but let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. I thought this was a pretty solid episode. I really like seeing Paul win. Like I said, I really think Paul needs to win. He's also very good at saying things. Like, when he's not too heated and when he's not too pissed, as he calls it, which he hasn't actually done that in a while. He's actually dialed back on some of the catchphrases, which I'm happy about, because I didn't dislike the catchphrase. I just thought it got a bit too cartoony, and I'm glad that he definitely dialed back on that. When he's focused, he's really good, and I think we definitely do see that here. I really want to see Paul win. I really hope that all those rigged rumors just aren't true. I'm someone that always assumes the best. I always like to look at, you know, oh, that can't be true, but I don't know. The way this season's playing out, I could definitely see that possibly happening. I just really hope it doesn't happen. I want to see Paul win. I don't really think there should be any other outcome. I think it's kind of a no-brainer to see him win, and I think it just makes sense for that to happen. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you guys next video, which will be for the season premiere of American Horror Story, which, guys, I have no idea what I'm going to think of this episode. I don't know what I'm going to think of the theme. I don't know what the hell I'm going to say, because we don't know the plot. We don't know the theme. We don't even know who's actually in it. I mean, yeah, there's a cast, but we don't know if there's, like, surprises. I mean, really anything could happen in this premiere. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm going to try not to hype it up, but at the same time, I'm going to try not to let the premiere cloud my judgment. I'll get more into that when I review it, but that's my review. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next review for American Horror Story, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.